Is the XR apocalypse upon us? Bitcoin is struggling to defend $112,000 all day today. Things are looking a little bit sketchy for some major altcoins. We're going to dig into this and a lot of major news. Jerome Powell speaking live at a conference right now, a consortium of things, really not saying much. So the market not responding. Really, I think that there's a lot more that we should be looking at in terms of what is going on with our favorite altcoins. Are they still looking good and set up for major gains into the end of the year here? So welcome to the show, one and all. Now, my name is Drew. I focus on God, country, family, and crypto, okay? And today we got kind of a loaded docket, to be honest with you. Make sure to give me a follow here on Twitter at DrewCrypto. I do have a video specifically looking at one fast-growing blockchain that's really rising through the ranks right under people's noses. You're going to want to stay tuned for that. And also, if you're not already, make sure that you are subscribed and following everything we're doing at Discover Crypto. And, of course, the homies in the blockchain basement, the one and only blockchain basement. You can find them here on YouTube, as well as BitLab Academy and DeFi, crypto, and airdrops. Now, let's get into it. How does the charts look? We know DZ was looking at this chart. It was basically the same dang place here. $112,700 on Bitcoin. Really quite flat on the day, but there is some juice to be had. Aster is still pumping. Absolutely and crazy. Insane. My buddy Matt has been trading this thing with, we were on air on the Avalanche arena all morning. He's been printing money trading Aster and Avalanche. But look at that. Avalanche number 4 gainer, up 15% on the week and up 8.6% over the course of the last 24 hours, while much of the market is writhing in pain. Mantle, honorary mention here at 11% up, and Zcash, holy God, a flash from the past. Got to look at the Zcash chart. Got to look at the Zcash chart. This is an old school project. Bam. Okay. You might have problems when you're looking at the all-time. But it could pump a little bit. You know what I mean? It's at $53 right now. This thing in the last bull market peaked out at about $320. Market before that, around $750. So maybe $100, $200 on this project wouldn't be crazy. Usually when we see alt season really start to kick off, which we are not there yet, not even by a long shot, then you start to see even the things that make 0 sense pumping to the moon. Now, I did open up a trade as well. Let's go check in on the trade. I found a little bit right as I was going live. I found an entry point on Aerodrome. So actually, while I'm talking here, I got to update the chat. But took the entry point on Aerodrome. Obviously, I got a lot of news to cover. So the signal went well. And now we're pumping on up from there. I'm running on beat. Yeah. So let's see here. This, I think it's going to be all right. It seems to catch a little bit of a bounce on the top of this last realm here. Aerodrome, I felt like was really holding up well in comparison to a lot of other altcoins in their pullbacks. So decided to take a swing at it. We'll see if it ends up playing out. That's kind of some of the craziness about hosting shows and trading all at the same time. You know what? You just got to find that entry point, let it ride, see if you win. If you didn't, at least you got a protected trade. Now, got to check in on the chat. Why the XRP FUD? Let's get into the XRP FUD. And really, I don't know if this is by design, if maybe the focus for Ripple is changing, but some interesting things have popped up. XRP burns going to 0. Crucial metric in this regard, plunging, and now questions are being raised. XRP sees almost no burns, which certainly raises questions about the efficiency of the mechanism itself. Let's dig into this. So the quantity of XRP burn as fees has drastically declined over the last 3 months. It kind of seems weird to me to see a declining fee, burning in a more excited market. I've been asked a lot about normies that are looking at XRP. They feel like it's a decent project. And God, XR burns have already been pretty much 0. Yeah. Becoming almost insignificant at this point. As of September 21st, data indicates that only 163 XRP. Oh my God. Where is that? Oh, 163 XRP. That's not good. Have been burned in a single day, which is significant decline from the July and August peaks when network activity and the kind of general usage of it and burning of it momentarily increased. The long-term dynamics of supply and general use of the XRP ledger are seriously called into question by this. I mean, it's consistent decline. There's constant releases of news of new partnerships and things like that. You wonder why in the world are we losing fees, losing the burn mechanism? So people are saying that XRP lacks a protocol level community or driven mechanism within that community to speed up the burns in contrast to what Ethereum or SHIB have. Now, I will say this. I think SHIB's probably going to die. I am sorry. I feel like SHIB's probably going down. Since the burn rates are nearly zero, the effect of supply reduction is essentially meaningless. This calls into question one of the most bullish theories that could be applied to the XRP: scarcity through destruction. XRP stuck in an enormous circulating supply of almost 60 billion tokens without a proper circulation removal mechanism. Now, here is where the problem arises. There's actually quite a few token unlocks slated to happen over the next year. Actually, it looks like it might increase. And so we've seen the difficulty. Let's go look at the difficulty that XRP's had, because it's been crushing it in terms of market cap size. It's at $172 billion in market cap. Now, when we look at this, it's at $2.88. And looking at it from a chart perspective, it's like, wow, we're building up some support. We're trying to punch out of previous all-time highs. We got some stair steps. Okay. Now, the market cap of XRP to reach this original $3.30 mark in 2017, the market cap accomplished a sizable $131 billion market cap. In this current realm, you've well surpassed that previous market cap, but since those tokens have been continuously released out onto the market, it's got a diminished upside, kind of starting to pad down that upside outlook for this project. Even if it keeps in this $200 billion range, these tokens coming out over the next few years are really, really going to diminish the upside potential. XRP is at a chart-wise point. It needs to break out. It's got all the footing here. And if it doesn't, and it loses this level, XR people are going to lose their absolute mind. And the loss of the fee mechanism is not helping its case when it comes to finding that breakout point, right? And this has been the long ongoing, argument. Many tokens are setting up with utility-based partnerships with many different aspects of economy. XRP has seemingly tried to roll out what looks like a DeFi attempt, right? So they're trying to come out and integrate with DeFi. Is it going to help? Well, let's look at another set of information here. The XRP price, and people asking if it's going to crash after falling below $3 again. Bearish chart pattern signaled a possible price correction towards $2, but analysts were convinced and continued uptrend to double digits. Down on Monday, yada, yada, yada. Everything else fell on Monday. Classic XRP pattern, they say, though. On the daily chart, XRP playing out a classic descending triangle formation, a bearish continuation pattern marked by downward sloping resistance trend lines and a flat horizontal support line. So when I hear all this, okay, whatever. What I'm looking at really is XRP probably still having upside. And these general targets, everyone being so terrified of $2, that's not too crazy of a momentary washout point to look out for entry points if they must. And honestly, the outlook of upside for this, XRP would need to hit $1 trillion market cap to hit $10. More reasonably, I'm looking at $300 to $400 billion, landing it, yes, in the $5 to $6 realm. Potential ability to double from where it is right now, but not the moonshot that I keep seeing online where they're talking about $50, $100 XRP. It is going to take an immense amount of money to get XRP up to those levels. And losing the fee mechanism, the burning mechanism within it, is not the best look, but we did see a little bit of a pivot towards DeFi. So let's hop on over to DeFi Llama and see where those statistics live right now. Instead of hopes and dreams, where's the value? How much are you making? TVL and DeFi on the XRPL is at 97.03 million. But here's the problem. App fees, $1,000 in the last 24 hours, and DEX volume at $31,000. These are extremely low in comparison to their competitors. There's quite a bit of work to be done on the XRP culture side, in my opinion, if they want to integrate DeFi involvement, if they want to make these things really start to turn over, they're going to have to put some money into advertising from Ripple's standpoint, right? It seems like they're constantly just dumping the tokens that they have, putting some in escrow, but largely using the money that they're gaining from selling on people's heads to then go off and do political ventures, integrations, political ventures in other countries. They are all over the place. And this is a problem where you're trying to be a jack of all trades and a master of none. I think focused projects that have a niche and what they're really locked in on doing is probably going to be a better upside than a project that's trying to fix everything, do DeFi, and we're going to become the CBDC that's used across the world, or we're going to replace banks and all these things. You have to have a focused approach. I think that is generally what my feeling is about XRP at this moment in time. Now, if you see, activity on DeFi really start to kick up and this TVL on XRPL really start to skyrocket, and it becomes a different conversation. There's many, many projects out there right now that are essentially ghost cities with very few people trading money back and forth between each other to show artificial volume, artificial trading going on. Why you must be very, very careful when looking at new projects to find out what you actually want to get into, right? To look at what you actually want to get into. If there's actual there's traction, there's transactional traction, there's fees, there's revenue, right? Revenue producing is going to be a major, major thing. And then revenue sharing also within that same vein here. So now with the washout, obviously yesterday was kind of crazy. Trump came out, took aim at some major, major pharmaceutical companies. Bitcoin, it's sloshing around here. It didn't break out. It didn't break down. Right now, we're just barely above that general buy pressure block. Something I found interesting is the buy pressure block literally went right there, but unfortunately, I was driving around, didn't sling the long in there. But this is where we're at. I'm kind of feeling a little bit top heavy on Bitcoin, kind of feeling a little bit top heavy, and just watching, because I did kind of draw out yesterday. I'm expecting more sloshing around this zone and a little bit of more of a proving ground, right? I don't feel like this washout and then this could very well be a dead cat bounce. It's got to prove support kind of in the midpoint of this washout structure right here at about $112,500. So not getting any definitive signals from Bitcoin. Avalanche has given me a very, very juicy signal. This is AVAX to Bitcoin. AVAX to Bitcoin has rallied by 100% over the past month or two here. And when I see the beginnings of this on the weekly, this reminds me of the JEET signal I got in 24 and 23, right? We stacked up Avalanche at $10 here, and then won week over week in a very, very big way against Bitcoin and JEETed at $52. Kept a moonbag and then added a little bit at $13 in these lows. Now we're sitting here really starting to pump back up. I am of the opinion that this is, a general downward trend line for Avalanche. We probably got some more juice in the tank, though. I would be very, very surprised if this is the end of alt season and these alts, especially Avalanche, Solana, start moving back to their lows. Yes, the Fed is talking as we speak. I know. I was listening to it. It really didn't have any useful information. So decided to move on from that. If there's something cataclysmic that comes about of it, I'll let you know. But we basically know the drill here. They lied about jobs for 2 years, 2 million fake jobs. They lost $1.4 trillion in our tax money. They didn't prosecute or stop any of the fraudulent activity happening within the government. And everything that they say is literal waste of time for me to listen to unless it affects my bags directly. Not so much today. So not going to waste my time with that. Now, what do we have here on trading? Check it out. Bitcoin future open interest dropped heavily. So $44.8 billion is what it was, down to $42.8 billion. This is just reflective of reduced speculative exposure. A little bit of shy gun fingers, trigger fingers out there on the future side. People may be getting washed out. This is why, when leverage trading, stop losses are my friend. I could take a couple bruises, take a couple stop losses, live to fight another day, right? Live to fight another day. Please don't raw dog those charts like that. Things can get real wicked real quick. You missed the start. It's all right, Tio, and I'm glad you're here. Glad you're here, baby. Let's go through the chat here. Instant liquidity is XRP. I want to know what you guys think. I want to know what you guys think. Is XRP going to $10 this cycle? Okay. I want a litmus test. Is XRP going to $10 this cycle? That'd be a huge outperformance. You'd have to hit $1 trillion market cap. Have to hit $1 trillion market cap just about to actually accomplish that price, right? And that's for the disconnect of the tokenomic understanding, how big the market cap is, how much it needs to increase by to hit this $10 mark. So let's see here. This bull cycle. It's got to be specific, you know. It's going to hit $10 in 2050. Got him. None of that. None of that noise. Let's put this in here. All right, starting this poll. Starting the poll on the other channel here. I want to know what you guys think. I want to know what you honestly feel in your chest, right? Not what the headlines say, not what all the hype says. What do you feel in your chest, right? Let's see here. I want to check in. I'm checking in on my boy on the arena here. He's going nuts. Now, let's hop over to this. Jim Cramer gave us the bull signal we all needed, folks. It's clear as day now. Jim Cramer, I would like to see a pause in the endless rally of speculation, gold, crypto, and profitless companies. Now, this is where some of the disconnect of reality and just basic historical context, they really divide, right? And we're going to go take a look at really gold, I think, is a great outlook on what's to come. Gold is a representation of a failed fiat currency system that's experiencing capital fright right now. Nifty's on gold, $3,780. Absolutely insane. Let's go and see if we have the long-term price action data on here. So gold is doing something that in hindsight, in my humble opinion, is going to look very similar to this, right? I think the initial swoop up, consolidates, parabolic, blow off top, pain. Consolidate after this little mid pump, right? Pump. And then Beyonce riding back down and finding equilibrium somewhere in the $2,000, $3,000 range. That's what I see happening. I don't think gold is going to $10,000 an ounce, but I do see that China is layering into its gold holdings very, very heavily. And that chart pattern played out the way that it did that I just showed you in the 1970s because of stagflation, because people needed to flee a inflationary economic situation while the job market, while the economy slowed, and then gold absolutely went ballistic. We have all of the same macroeconomic signals going off right here in this season, telling me that this is likely to continue a little bit more. And it's up to us to acknowledge if it even exists, right? Because you can see the government can lie about 2 million jobs and everything's fine. We knew that the jobs data was false. We literally knew that the jobs data was false. At least us on this channel did. It didn't seem to matter. The Federal Reserve still made decisions based off that false data, cutting interest rates too late into what is really stagflation. And now they're going to have to inject trillions of dollars in liquidity, not only into the in industrial manufacturing sectors, the power industry, but also they're going to have to inject that money into the real estate market as well. It's a 20-headed hydra of economic disaster building in the background. When you have an economic disaster, then hedges against basic fiat currency systems historically have performed extremely well. This is why I'm kind of excited about this current problem that we're having macroeconomically, because if there was nothing to fix in terms of what is money, what is value, then where's the use case of crypto, right? Crypto, the projects within it, they're designed and building out towards solutions for the existing ecosystem. This is why I like it. This is why I like looking at crypto, Bitcoin, gold. Honestly, we should probably check out the silver chart too. Talking about silver, silver's been very, very suppressed for decades on end. The likes of JP Morgan and other powerful banking institutions. And now, holy cow, she trying to break out. So this is what happened to silver during the 70s stagflationary event, right? And this is not an altcoin. It's not a meme coin. This is silver during stagflation. Obviously, there is a bunch to be discussed. I think it was a brothers or something like that. They were artificially causing scarcity or something like that during the time. I think they even went to jail over this. But silver pumped up to about $48 an ounce back in the 1979, 1980 timeframe. Had a secondary impulse here in 2012, 2011 after the great financial crisis, right? And now we're swooping back up to the upside. So this is where you have to understand, yeah, economically things are broken, and rightfully so. Things should really start to fall apart, right? But history has shown that as long as there's a governor or a government in place and a Federal Reserve to put the blame on, they can just print their way out of the problems, cause inflation to you and me, and then no one has the ability to fight back, right? That's basically how it goes, time and time again. So, with that being said, we got to move aggressively in this market. And thank you very much to Jim Cramer for saying that it's over. I appreciate the nod of confidence that there's further extreme upside. Now, Cover Crypto, I think so too. We got Cyclop highlighting that he feels like we're here in a bear trap. This is the general, kind of blow off top process where you have accumulation. Shout out to the few people that watched our show all the way through accumulation zone. Then we go to the trend emergence. Wait a minute, it's not over. Oh, but there's a little shakeout. This was like very similar to the banking collapse of 2023. You all remember that, right? First Republic, all the scariness. We fell around $20,000 and then rallied to 40, right, on Bitcoin. And then you get that first sentiment extreme when we did get to that range, a washout, bear trap. I kind of agree with this. I kind of agree. I do think that there is more upside. And I actually want to see how much upside people think about XRP. All right. So Discover Crypto Chat, 45% of you say that XRP is going to $10 this bull cycle. No is coming at 54%. Now let's go check out the basement's consensus here. We got 21% yes on the basement and 79% no's. Things must be discussed in that realm because honestly, we're entering the zone where if you aren't positioned in the right projects, most projects rise with a, increasing tide, but there's going to be some losers, right? There's going to be some losers. So just think about it. Think consciously about what you're holding. I'm definitely doing that. Basement degens are more realistic. Maybe. I mean, there's a lot of old school, holders of XRP. They're probably going to be willing to hold it into the next cycle. Maybe the next cycle is where it hits that level, right? So, I don't really want to. I even had a heart for hexagons this week because of all the crap going on with Hex. It's like if you're at least in crypto and you're trying to, see something cool be built, that's pretty cool, bro. And I want to try to be bros with you. Now let's look at Ethereum. We have Ethereum's potential Google moment. They say Vitalik Buterin reveals next big step in the blockchain. There's Vitalik. Such an interesting character. According to Vitalik Buterin, the future of Ethereum lies not in NFTs or meme coins, but in something far simpler. It says it is a low-risk DeFi. In a new essay, the Ethereum co-founder likened this to how search became Google's main source of income. And this is a pretty nuanced, kind of crazy take that makes a lot of sense when you really think about it, powering every other service around the internet giant. In short, the point of Ethereum doesn't need hype or hype cycles to survive. What it needs is a solid foundation of payment systems, savings accounts, collateralized lending, and synthetic assets that will stand the test of time. And these are, synthetic assets that people could just want to represent on chain that just exist and hold their real world value while the rest of the, altcoin ecosystem falls to bear market lows. A protocol with many, many real world assets that actually have real world value, that hold their value and actually can act counterintuitively to crypto during those bear markets might actually end up with extreme longevity, even better upside as each bull market, each 4-year cycle comes to fruition. I think the Bitcoin 4-year cycle is generally still intact. We have a slight adjustment to overall metrics because of how long we spent at all-time highs. ETFs coming in, they hold a little bit longer, yada, yada, yada. There's a little bit of a difference. But generally, I think the 4-year cycle is on track. And having DeFi and low-risk DeFi available for people in the bear market, I think is going to be something very, very important to watch for. The numbers can show why the shift is important. Back in 2019, Ethereum DeFi losses amount to the more than 5% of the total value locked. By 2025, that figure had dropped to almost zero. Protocols have become safer, risks have dropped, and wild edges of DeFi have moved further away from the core. And Buterin argues that for millions of users, the risks in traditional finance are now greater than those in DeFi. So, and we've heard this before, the digital oil or the new Google, low risk DeFi, I think is actually something that arguably can parabolically increase. When we see the situation I just showed you with what gold did during stagflation, all the metrics that are showing us that we're heading into / in stagflation currently, people are going to be looking for ways to make upside. And if Ethereum can have safe options, alternatives for people to get in and earn yield while the rest of the market is flopping and groping, trying to find its balance and waiting for Daddy Fed to print another, $5 trillion to kick the engine back on, I think DeFi is going to be very, very good. So it's an interesting time for Ethereum. It's a very, very interesting time for real world assets. And we are seeing some road paved by the current SEC here in the US to make this actually happen, thus giving me further confidence that this is actually going to be going down. It all is about this new news. The SEC is set out to allow companies to launch products in the US without burdensome regulatory requirements. I also saw this picture. I'm not sure if this is actually Paul Atkins or not. Kind of looks AI-ish, but it's an innovation exemption. By December is what Paul Atkins says is coming, and this will allow those crypto products to launch their products quicker and get them to market quicker. It seems that there's a technological arms race on the blockchain level with America, China, Russia, and the BRICS nations trying to develop what is going to be known as the next digital world currency. It's in development right now. Probably one of these private companies that we see operating at the multiple billions of dollars level, like Tether, like USDC, have a potential to actually be integrated as a world digital currency at some point. As crazy as it may sound. And I think about Circle. Circle seems to be on the inside. Circle seems to have the inside baseball play when it comes to being chosen for something of that scale, which is a massive scale, mind you, because what we're doing right now in crypto is really, it's not even a toenail to the elephant of what money really is here on planet Earth. Now, saw some news for Keeta. Got to cover. Today marked the beginning of a new era. Keeta Network mainnet actually went live, a global system value transfer built for banks, governments, and people everywhere. Let's actually go check the chart. Let's see if it was a sell the news event. Are we back to the lows? Is the speculation over? Let's go, Keeta. Let's see how you're doing. Down 11%. Oh, damn. This is why we can't have nice things. Let's see here. So on the day, yeah, not great. Not great. This actually looks like a pretty solid support zone at around 80 cents. Defended it twice. Defended it very nicely twice. See here, and on the year, you dip down, and the one below that's about 55, 60 cents. So, actually, this pullback makes me, if I get a little bit of this, is going to be a small portion of my portfolio. I understand that it's a high risk. But, in this general time frame, it's actually my favorite time to cover crypto. Pullbacks make for good entries, right? Pullbacks make for good entries. It's all about how you view the market. My thesis hasn't changed. It's actually exaggerated now that I see the SEC is willing to fast track products to be released here in the United States. They're just now opening up the world's largest economy to openly develop and release projects on crypto. And we're bearish. We're saying that the alt season's over. We have a SEC chair that may as well be a crypto KOL pushing for this advancement to happen before the end of the year. I'm pretty bullish. Right now. The main thing that I'm watching is the Bitcoin reserve going to be bought actively by the US within the next few years? I'm kind of leaning towards no. If I was the US government, I would say that the Bitcoin reserve is coming. Watch all these nation states and different organizations, FOMO in, build their treasuries, and then hold off on buying until it actually, crashes back down. Because a lot of what we see cooked in my opinion, is expectations that the US is going to make this the reserve currency. If they change that tune, things can change very, very quickly on how long-term, these different funds hold their Bitcoin for. So now this chaos happened about. Animal spirits are here. 21 shares. Spot Dogecoin ETF has been listed on the DTCC under ticker TDOG. Okay. There is a literal Dogecoin ETF incoming. Chaos is abound. It's going to get nuts. It's going to get nuts. Like in these things, they're probably going to have some involvement. Why is your title negative? I mean, it's a warning, right? We went over it. I went over it ad nauseum. The front end, tokenomics, fee mechanisms, burn mechanisms, all that data, even the XRPL, the TVL there within. There's a lot of data to go check out there. It's if you're willing to listen to it, I guess is the point of it. If you're an XRP holder, can you listen to it? Now, tens of trillions of dollars talked about being coming on to on-chain contracts. This is Sergey from Chainlink talking about the outlook of Chainlink setting the standard to reduce transaction complexity by up to 90% by critically enabling the flow of institutional capital and DeFi. Let's have a listen.
Standards are important because they define how transactions work. Our industry is about transactions. It's about DEX transactions. It's about RWA transactions. It's about stablecoin transactions. It's about cryptocurrency transactions. But it's fundamentally about transactions. And that's a deeply ingrained term and basically how all blockchains and how our industry works from the very beginning with Bitcoin transactions. Now, if you just want to own a single token on a single chain, then you are in the standards of that chain. You are operating as to how that chain operates. And you have that token against the standards of that one chain. But the world we are in now is not where everything happens on a single chain. The world we are in now is one where transactions happen across chains. Transactions require critical inputs like data inputs, identity inputs, AI inputs. And if I'm going to trust that the transaction is going to work correctly, I need to evaluate not just how the transaction begins on my chain, but I need to evaluate how it's going to go and progress beyond my chain and how it's going to be related to all these other services and systems. Because if you can manipulate the data system, or you can manipulate the AI system, or you can manipulate the cross-chain system, then you can manipulate my transaction. The guarantee that I received previously on a single chain, where I was just transferring a token from one address to another address on that chain, without any data, without any cross-chain, without any identity, without any AI, was that the standards of that chain are guaranteeing that transaction in that limited, simple way of going from wallet A to wallet B.
See, and this is the type of stuff, if you think about how many jobs were falsely reported, if you think about all of the massive decisions that were made off of a falsified good economy, blockchain could really, really help out the existing setup of what the world is, what data is. Right now we have a problem because data can be gamed. And then they're using that game data to make decisions that literally cost people sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars in value in their buying power when it comes to the printing and the fixing of the problem that they're creating. So I am hopeful that Chainlink and the rest of crypto succeed in doing this. I am cautiously optimistic, but it's up against a lot. I understand that. It's up against a lot. It's not the easiest thing in the world to do. Looks like we got Bitcoin rolling over right now. Let's go take a look at the charts and check it out. We're heading back into the stop hit in profit on my arrow. So now let's check it out. Bitcoin on the 15-minute, following through with that downward trajectory, heading back into the buy block. This thing just seems so right now. It seems so floppy. Let's see here. Let's go check out liquidation levels. Let's go check these out, actually. Bam. Bam. Let's go check them out. What are we looking at here? Where's the most pain caused? CZ back to prison. Kidding. Let's see here. 111.5, 111.7-ish. Right? We're about 112 right now. It's a good chunk to wash out. Should Bitcoin fall to that level? It's looking pretty feisty, looking pretty aggressive like it wants to do so. We'll keep an eye out on this on the side view here. Guess I can get in. What I want to see happen, it's right there again. Jeez Louise. Didn't even have to change the liquidation target. This is from yesterday. It's basically the same thing. The market's just Groundhog Day. It's just doing the same thing. The sloshing, the flopping and groping we expected yesterday is playing out pretty much to a T. Now, something pretty cool. While all this pullback is happening, one of our favorite projects is really pumping. Making me smile. It's Avalanche. Still one of the strongest looking majors according to Cilinix. I'd agree with that. Technically and fundamentally, I think you have to be bullish on this. I do have a video coming out tonight at 7 p.m. that digs into all of the things that have happened that actually are a really big announcement for Avalanche. It's kind of overwhelming. They have 3 to 4 major things being implemented, which is causing their RWA increases to go ballistic. Make sure to stay tuned 7 p.m. for that video. And this is nuts. Pudgy Penguin. Pengu partners up with Hyundai Card, South Korea's largest credit card company. Okay. Now, yes, it's probably just going to be some adorable picture of a penguin on a credit card. But you know what? Branding, brand awareness, Lucanets understands this perfectly. And the amount of involvement with Pengu that's happening in Southeast Asia right now, in my opinion, is a result of all of that market intelligence and knowing how to actively market your brand, right? Pudgy Penguins, kind of crazy. And with that, we got to look at the Pengu chart. How could we not? How could we ignore the Pengu chart? See if it's going back to those crazy lows or if it's still building itself out. It's only down by 0.7% on the day, while a lot of other tokens are really down. 13% down on the month. All right. Still generally on that cup and handle pattern. This actually is the bottom range of this handle right here. So from a technical standpoint, this is actually where I might start snooping around at a spot bag. Right? I would rather it be at this 2.9s. Oh, it is. It's at the bottom of it. This is pretty nice. This is pretty nice. So the chaos is there. Animal spirits are here. Pengu's probably going to pump pretty hard from this level, just looking at that general technical setup and the lack of pullback. And they got constant crazy stuff like this happening up. Backshot. Pete Jr., I see you.
You are banned!
Jeez Louise, bro. Too early. Backshot apocalypse. Too early. All right. Unbelievable. Now, this I thought was pretty cool. Alex Becker out here with kind of a game plan for social media networks and integrations on SocialFi that I found pretty interesting. And obviously, as you know, we rated Jeet token, I think like last week, and caused the token to like bond in an instant. I think he dumped everything. I made good creator fees, and now we're like alive as a token somehow. But we keep making content every single day, and random chaos like that can happen. But he's doing a quick note on his pump streams, and people are wondering if he's going to go live multiple times a week, yada, yada, yada. He realizes that stream meta is cooked right now. Honestly, I think this changes as soon as Pump adds utility to them. I'm not expecting 100 million coins, but have a reason for demand would compete with the flywheel type action that's needed to make it sustainable. That being said, we're getting thousands of viewers per stream across all platforms and are by far the most viewed crypto stream online. Now he's going in, he's actually fostering the development of Pump Fund. It actually makes me wonder if there might be a chance he ends up finding out about all of the chaos that's happening on Avalanche, right? They're looking at Solana, but with Avalanche's price action, the native token's going to drive some activity. And here is me and Matthew Malik's show here, guys. Drew and Malik live. I got a link in the description. You can click the link to get into the arena. This is social media on Avalanche. They have their own token, the arena token. But it's a very interesting concept. You buy tickets or you sell tickets of social profiles that you think are going to do good or bad. It's got all kinds of exploration you could do in terms of new tokens being made. It's got some really unknown projects that are doing numbers here. Gladius, an AI agent, has risen to $14 million market cap. There is definitely some moves being made in the Avalanche ecosystem, and especially here on the arena. And I go live every single day. So if you want to find out what that show is, Drew and Malik Live, click the link in the description and you can get in there. I'm in there testing to see if SocialFi can expand on the blockchain. And I am a believer. I'm a believer that it can at least capture a little bit of that juice. Now, Digital Currency Group And I think it's Barry. It's Barry. He's still shilling Tau, right? The Tensor Tau building a network to offer decentralized alternative AI giant. Jeff John Roberts breaks down why they believe Bittensor will lead the DAI revolution with Fortune magazine. Tau has a pretty clear chart pattern. As of recent, I do want to actually go check in on the Tau chart, see if this washout gave us a nice entry point. Let's see here. So on the year, yeah. Okay. Yeah, this is actually a zone at this point in the cycle. Is not bad. You know, I don't think the hype's here. The hype is not here. Barry Silber's not done shilling this. You know, this, I'm such a greedy investor. I don't want to go hardcore unless I see it in the twos still. I don't want to go hardcore on Tau position until I see it in the twos. If I see it in the twos. That's just my approach, right? I like a lot of different projects. Doesn't mean that I hold all the projects, and I'll still be their cheerleader for them as they pump to the moon if I miss out on it. Let's see here. I want to go to Trump's message in Europe. Trump had a pretty long conversation with the EU this morning. Your countries are going to hell unless you control your borders and end illegal migration and deport illegal migrants. He said this pretty rough conversation in front of the UN this morning. Thankfully, the markets didn't nosedive. There's a lot of things that are going to be changing, and Trump really is he's keeping going. Like watching him last night with RFK was kind of a trip. Trump says he will not meet with congressional Democrats to negotiate any potential government shutdown, calling their demands unserious and ridiculous. So, you know, it'd be nice if I could have like a week without Trump saying anything, and then I just could trade the chart as it is. But, you know, he's got to say stuff. He's got to say stuff. Me, I got to say stuff about XRP. VZ Fat Cat, a little upset. I still said you could hit $5 or $6. Just giving some of the mechanism issues that are coming up right there within the network. But probably going to outpace inflation in the short term. What do you have? Profits if you can keep them. Right? Now, the odds of a government shutdown in 2025 on Kalshi have now surged to a new high of 68%. The base case now assumes that the U.S. government will shut down by the year's end. Are they actually going to shut down the government? I could see this being warned about every single time this comes about. They warn about the disaster and all the things that'll go wrong if the government shut down. Just shut it down, right? That's my opinion. Like, go ahead. They never do. They're always posturing. They always find some last minute deal that they can work out between each other. Not too worried about it. You know, what do you guys think? Are they going to do the same thing? Every single time, every year, I feel like it's the same thing where they're just, we're going to shut down. Well, we didn't shut down. We came up with a spending package that we both agree with, right? Unbelievable. Now, Putin looks like he's offering some new starts to a treaty for 1 year between the Ukraine and Russia. Let's read into this. So President Putin on Monday offered the U.S. a 1-year extension of the New START, the last remaining, and this is actually nuclear arms related, a control treaty between the U.S. and Russia, which is set to expire February of 2026. This is because they lost the conversation of treaty with Ukraine. Like, I haven't heard that. So they just making sure that there's no nukes sent and they just keep going on in Ukraine, right? New START treaty limits the terms of nuclear warheads and delivery systems to 2 pioneers that can deploy. Putin said that Russia would abide by those limits if the U.S. reciprocates. The treaty expires without an extension or replacement. There will no longer be any constraints on the deployment of U.S. and Russian nuclear weapons, aka big bada boom, if things keep getting worse. I'm hopeful that they can work out a peace resolution. Things are kind of sketchy right now. Doesn't seem like there is any outlook for it, unfortunately, right? Adam Bombetti, take profits before January. Got it. Yeah, that's kind of like maybe the end of the bull market is actually the end of the nuclear peace treaty, right? I mean, maybe. Kind of a scary thought. And what's to say that like a treaty is going to stop them from actually deploying if they wanted, right? Just a question. I mean, who's going to be left to try? You know. Let's look at this too. Gavin Newsom. Groceries are up, electricity costs are up, and inflation is up. And Donald Trump's reaction is to shut down the government and take away healthcare from millions of people. Remember that. So Gavin Newsom really trying to twist the knife. His response is people, this you, right? Him enjoying a nice, delicious meal as the rest of California was locked down. They were doing tyranny actual in the area, but he was sitting there probably nibbling on some French shrimp or something like that. For 4 years, Democrats told us we were imagining inflation. Remember that. And that was the strong and resilient Biden economy. Everything's great, you guys. Biden was just licking ice cream, staring at you through those glasses, and you knew his beady eyes were locked in. You knew Biden's greedy little eyes were locked in on you as he's licking the ice cream cone. Inflation went nuts under Biden. It's just the lack of acknowledgement that we had from the Federal Reserve, from economic leaders. That makes it so the average person's like, oh, well, now we have inflation. It's because Trump's calling out the problem with inflation because he needs to rebalance the U.S. debt at a very high interest rate, and they have to bring down the rates for the U.S. to be able to refinance that debt. It basically is as simple as that. Then they'll be back to their same old thing, irresponsible spending, all of it. And it's still going on in the background. They're going to roll out different bailout packages for banks, for the bigs, not the average person, while all these things are under stress. Just like the story that I covered at the beginning of the week, where a building in Denver sold for 3% of its original sale value, right? 3% of original sale value is what the bank was able to get for this building. Talking hundreds of millions of dollars in losses, massive vacancy rates taking over, a change in workforce needs as many people have opted to work remotely, thus saving the companies money on infrastructure that they need, right? To have the person just plug into the internet and get the job done. As long as the person's good, it's happening here. So there's a lot of, consideration for me on when to get out of this market and just put it back all into Bitcoin. I think that the pairing charts are probably one of the more bullish metrics, but Aster is giving me FOMO. So Aster currently at $2. Let's see if I can get this chart to pull up here. It's currently at $2 right now. Insanely enough, this thing is building up a bull flag. I mean, it's just nuts to be saying this about a token that, and I was trying to buy it. And I was just too busy on these other streams, like 50 cents. Now I'm coming to the office today. It's at over $2, right? Obviously, I can't have nice things, but I'm still going to root for this thing on the sidelines here. It's nice to see people making some gains on something we covered the moment it came out. Let's see here. I want to pull this up on, here we go. So 15-minute, getting a little bit floppy and gropey on the stochastic, right? A little bit, but honestly, this project, if it even captures a, 25, 50% of what Hyperliquid is currently, and Hyperliquid continues to grow, then it does go to around $5, right? With pretty much relative ease. I do want to also see how fast it has risen up the ranks in terms of size of market cap. Let's go here. There's been some movements, right? We have Avalanche nipping at the heels of Chainlink for that number 10 crypto project spot. Hyperliquid flipped Chainlink. Hyperliquid's at 15.5 bill. Chainlink's at 14.7 bill. It's a long way to take Cardano out, though, at $30 billion. But let's look at Aster. Coming out of nowhere here. There it is, number 37. This thing has just been moving up the leaderboard all day long since it came out. CZ Bull posting about it. Absolutely nuts. My buddy's trading on it on the Avalanche arena, and it does make me happy to see on-chain trading really take hold, right? It does make me happy to see on-chain trading. W Baller, he's upset about his XRP bags. How are you going to get to $10 this cycle? I want to hear it. I'm here for it. I'm listening. How $10? I want to know, how are you going to accomplish $1 trillion market cap, bro? Now, get serious. Let's get serious. Slight distraction. Let's see here. Small face, no toe. I haven't seen you in a while. Wait a minute. That's that Pepe Munger original.
You are banned!
Boom. ISO 22. Okay. I'm going to be super patient with you, Kid Ghost. Be super patient with you on that. Okay. I'm going to be super patient. First of all, you're wrong. ISO 2200022. First of all, you got to learn what the hell it is. It's a messaging standard between banks, right? It's not just amongst crypto. There's no stamp. There's no tramp stamp at the back of any crypto product that says you're approved to get in. They designed their messaging standard at a federal level. It's an integration that's actually going across the board. And XRP, yes, being on the board, but they didn't even decide to institute, right? Makes you wonder. Makes you wonder. Now, Bitcoin pulling back, looking top heavy. Is this the bottom? Is this the... Let's actually check this out. Small face, no toe. No, you got a few second timeout. It's good to see you. I missed the Pepe Munger original profile picture. Now let's see if we washed out this liquidity. Okay, go to a larger setup. A larger setup right here. Liquidity getting close. I can feel it. Here it is. 111.8 good chunk, and right there 111.5. Hop back on over to the charts. Might be able to send one off. Now, my general process, what I like to find is I like to find a upward trajectory on the 4-hour first and foremost. This looks quite painful, but coming back down and washing out all the longs before it makes its actual move is something this market does all the darn time. All the darn time. So when I'm looking at this, it's still riding off the green dot. VWAP come back down to equilibrium. And then we kind of zoom in to the 1 hour. 1 hour looks very problematic, but your VWAP has reset very, very sharply to the downside. Oftentimes I see these start to reverse when they're at the negative 25 or more. Then we zoom in even more and go to the 15-minute. And I want to see this level at like an 80, 90. And it is. It is at that. Now, one thing that I have to be careful of is just looking so flat within money flow. But I mean, we got that internal VWAP clipping back up. Actually, I might end up being able to get into this bad boy. Now, and then again, I want to see, I like getting longs in on bull markets when the momentum is pushed down very, very heavily and the VWAP is already clipping back up. Does generally have that kind of design. I had a good trade yesterday. I was able to cruise around town, not even pay attention to. Ended up stopped out in profit. What I'm doing, I'm fishing for that juice. We got the green dot on the 5-minute, and obviously the 1 minute's probably looking pretty good from there. Darn close. Pretty darn close. Ooh, this is exciting. This is exciting. We're washing it out. We're washing it out. I love when these things happen live. 8-2. I'm quite enticed. I'm quite enticed by this. Not gonna lie, NGNL. Yeah, I'm going. I'm gonna give it a shot. I got like 1,800 stored up in this. Maybe I'll do like a G. A G. Be decent. Go market. It always does that to me. It always does. Let's see here. Ding. Ding. All right. Now I'll set up my stops here. Pull this over in front of my face. I can actually see it a little bit better. Because I think, we're losing this range at like 111.5. It's probably going to be a ride downtown, ride down to like 107, maybe 108. Let's see. So I want to make sure we're just not showing my Position. Am I in position? I'm in position. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and set the stop if I lose this range, 111.38. 111.38. I'm going to set the stop loss right below this general range that we're at right now. So it's a great day in crypto. Another day, another chance to catch that bottom. We can put the stop loss in nice profit pretty quickly on this one, it looks like. And I do implore you to stay around for the 7 p.m. show on Avalanche. It's really encompassing a lot of things I think flew over our heads. Prices really started moving for projects across the board, and a large amount of distraction happened. But I think Avalanche needs a focused look at right now. It's got great chart setups. It's one of the better known projects out there. And we're seeing even Avalanche ETFs and treasuries come about. They're part of the conversation too. And it excites me. I think we're set up for some pretty good upside on the project. Yes, I called into question on this show some of the burn mechanisms that are currently in place on XRP. Called into question the outlook of what XRP's market cap needs to be to hit $10. You can ask that personal question for yourself. If you are holding XRP, does it have the potential to hit $10? Or are you more so looking at like a doubling up and that market cap still holding the number 3 spot? That's the thing that people, I think, just disconnect with. For some reason, they just disconnect with it. I love it and appreciate every single one. Okay. You're in crypto. You're trying to make it better. I like it. I like what you're doing out there. I'm going to get that video ready to go out into the ether tonight. I'm going to appreciate every single one of you out there in the chat. Make sure to pick yourself up one of these, and I'll
We just wanted to take a quick second to shout out our sponsor, Arculus. They are a cold storage hardware wallet, helps you secure all of your digital assets for the future. Just tap this thing to the back of your phone and boom, you're in. We wouldn't be able to do this without them, but also wouldn't be able to do this without you guys, the Disco fam. You've supported us a lot over the years. If you want to support the channel now, just use the code DC20. It gets you 20% off this card. It's the #1 way you can support this channel going forward. Thank you for your support. We'll see you at the top.